because my voices were talking to me. You need to make a sacrifice or we're going to come and get you. You need to do it.
What was really going on in James Fairweather's head? Was this the bravado of a twisted killer or the rantings of a mentally disturbed teenager?
Well, when the police asked him what happens in the course of these crimes, he proceeds to stand up and actually reenact the stabbing of his victims. And he seems to be really reveling in that, really enjoying that reenactment.
Can I stand up? No.
Yes.
Went up to them. Stood over like that. Not that. So I stabbed him first there. I've done it a few times. While I was doing that, my voices were laughing and laughing and laughing louder and louder.
So he's constantly performing. Everywhere is a stage for him, whether that's at trial, whether that's in a police interview room. He really does love the limelight.
I saw a picture of him that I think had been put on a social media site or something. Right. Because Colchester's quite a small place, it was so scary to actually put a face. And when I saw the face, it was like, he doesn't look... He looks a bit of a... I was going to sound silly, he looks a bit of a wimp. Bit of a weedy little, you know. But obviously that's when it struck that he picked on vulnerable people, because Jim was vulnerable. And so, obviously, so was Naheed. She was no taller than me. She was quite a tiny little thing.
What emotion did that evoke when you saw an actual picture now?
The strange thing is, and this is what's so hard to explain, I didn't feel anything. Didn't feel angry. I just didn't feel anything. It was like, you don't matter.
On May the 29th, 2015, 3 days after his arrest, James Fairweather was charged with the murder of Jim Atfield and Naheed Almanea. Michelle Sadler had had a lucky escape.
I think the day that the police came to my house and they told me that they charged him, that was the day that I felt horrific. I mean, that night I was actually sick, in shock. You know, as I say, I felt really terrible that I took my daughter down there the day before. And I think for me, what affected me more is I know that if I'd gone there 5 minutes later and I found him where he was the second time, I know what it was said in court, his intentions were to come from back. And I just know that I wouldn't be here today. And that part, that did affect me, yeah.
News of the arrest sent shockwaves around the town.
I think in common with everybody before James was arrested, it was assumed that the ferocity of the killings meant that it must have been an adult, and probably an adult male, who'd committed the crimes, which I think is why it was so shocking, particularly to the public at large, when they discovered it was a 15-year-old boy.
James Fairweather's trial was set for April 2016. The prosecution would have to prove that the 15-year-old killer was sane. After immediately confessing to the murders of Jim Atfield and Naheed Almanea in May 2015, James Fairweather changed his story 2 weeks later. He claimed that the voices inside his head had made him make a false confession. But by January 2016, Fairweather had changed his mind once more. He admitted responsibility for the killings after a new piece of evidence emerged.
He left one piece of DNA at the scene where Naheed Almanea was killed. One piece that police techniques weren't good enough to find for more than a year after they took the sample. But finally they did manage to find a 1 in 11,000 match between Naheed Almanea and Fairweather.
So it seemed to me that was the final matter that resolved the strength of the case against him. And it was at that point that he was advised by us that the evidence was overwhelming, and he immediately confessed that he was the killer.
On April the 11th, 2016, James Fairweather's trial began at Guildford Crown Court. He pleaded guilty to manslaughter.